the future of Syria's chemical weapons. Damascus has met its deadlines, and now the UN chemical watchdog is meeting to decide where and when the stockpiles must be destroyed. And to discuss the prospects, let's now cross live to RT's London bureau and political analyst Chris Bambery there. Mr. Bambery, welcome to RT. So the world is now waiting for Albania to decide if they will take in Syria's estimated 1,000 tons of toxic weapons for destruction. Do you think they will agree? Because we know there are so many protests against it going on in the country.
Well, we saw protests yesterday against by Albanians against chemical weapons arriving on their shores. And what I found incredible was that it's a Norwegian merchant ship accompanied by a Norwegian naval vessel which is going to Syria to pick up these weapons, which includes mustard gas and sarin, and bring them to Albania. The Norwegians say they don't have the expertise and the ability to dismantle the chemical weapons. I would ask you, if one of the richest countries in Europe don't have the expertise and knowledge to do this, how could you expect the poorest country in Europe to do this? And the Albanians have no ability or no knowledge of chemical weapons as far as I am concerned. And I think it's an interesting question what they've been offered. It is a poor country, we know that. And are they being offered money? Are they being offered incentives to do this? I think the answer would obviously be yes. But I think there are other issues you want to ask. Why would you choose the poorest country in Europe to do this? It kind of smacks of a colonial mentality that somehow we're going to dump these things in Albania, we're not going to bring them to Britain. Why don't you choose a country which has the expertise? For instance, in Britain there is the Aldermaston chemical weapons facility. I would trust that to dismantle those weapons, but it involves high levels of expertise. And also, Albania must be one of the least stable countries in Europe. This is not to attack at the Albanian people, but the Albanian state has hardly a long history. It's not very stable. There's a problem of organised crime there. And I think it's a very strange decision to say we're going to take these deadly weapons and put them in a country where security must be an issue. As I understand it, the fallback position would be France, which would seem to me to make much more sense, because France and the UK have chemical weapons, although they don't generally advertise this. They have the ability to deal with chemical weapons. They could dismantle the chemical weapons safely, I presume. Much better that the French or British do this than we dump these things on Albania. So while I welcome the fact that Syria has met the demands of the international community, while I welcome the fact that Syria has disarmed from chemical weapons, I find this selection of Albania a very strange one, and we're waiting for an announcement today from the Albanian government to see whether they've agreed this or not.
Right, interesting point, but as you mentioned, Norway has already refused a similar request by the US. But what happens if Albania does the same?
Well, as I said, my understanding is that they will go to France, and I think it's really the onus is on Britain or France in terms of the Western European powers to deal with this, because, as I say, they do have chemical weapons, although we don't advertise the fact that Britain and France has stockpiles of chemical weapons. They do have the ability to do that. The French and the British have the facilities where they could dismantle these things safely. They have the expertise. Surely that's the better option. But it strikes me as what's happening here is that the French or the British are fearful that people don't want these, the population does not want these chemical weapons of mass destruction coming here, and now they're trying to foist them on the people of Albania, presumably by offering financial incentives to the government of Albania to take them. And I think it's really inclement on the British and the French to take these things and to deal with them safely.
Is it correct to say that as of now Syria has basically fulfilled its part of the deal? So it's up to the world powers now to finance and conduct the removal of chemical weapons and their destruction now?
Absolutely. I mean, Syria has abided by this deal, brokered by Russia, we should remember, against the opposition of many in the West who are critical of Obama for accepting the deal. The West should really put its money where its mouth is here. It's signed up to this deal. It's sending ships, in this case Norwegian ships, to deal with this, but the Norwegians claiming they don't have the expertise to dismantle the nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, say they will not take them in. And to repeat the point, I mean, what expertise does Albania have to dismantle chemical weapons? And I would be very scared of the impact it would have on the environment of a country which actually is still one of the most naturally unspoilt countries in Europe. Why are they having to take these weapons in? I really do feel that Britain, France, Germany and the rest should put their money where their mouth is and say, as part of a deal that we accepted, say this. And I think it kind of smacks a resentment over the fact that really as well, in the end, this deal has come off. That actually Putin brokered a deal, Assad signed up to it, and now Syria has abided by the agreements of it. And I can't help but feel there's a sort of kind of resentment in European capitals that actually the deal has worked.
All right, political analyst Chris Bambery live from London. Mr. Bambery, thank you very much indeed for your perspective, for sharing your perspective with us. Thank you.